Right, God knows what happened there. It said I wasn't live, but everybody in the live chat saying I'm live. It's come up now saying, oh, right. Well, anyway, there you go. You can see me looking confused, going out, coming back in. Technology, all the gear, no idea, and all that. Well, that was a bit embarrassing, weren't it? But there you go. Anyway, welcome to a little bit of a live chat. It's been a little while since I've done one. Not much happening in the West Ham world. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go live at 5, get interactive with the live chat. So if you are joining, do get involved in the live chat anyway, and give me your thoughts on anything West Ham, any questions, any topics, get involved and we'll see what you're saying. But I've got a few discussion points to get through first of all. So first up, Harrison Ashby is back. I didn't know this. He played on Saturday for the under-21s. I was not aware whatsoever. Put the preview up last night and somebody in the comments said, I'd like to see Harrison Ashby. So I replied to him and said, well, I think he's still injured. He said, well, he's not. He's back on Saturday. So I thought, oh, so I went and had a look, and right enough, there he was. He played against Crystal Palace for the under-21s on Saturday afternoon. Now, last night, the under-21s played in the Papa John's Trophy, and so I waited for that lineup. That came out, and right enough, he was in that team as well. So Harrison Ashby is now back from his injury. So we won't see him tomorrow night against Anderlecht, given that he played for the under-21s last night. Well, we might do, but it's extremely unlikely. He's been out for quite a while as well. I don't want to see him tomorrow night, in all honesty. Let the guy get his fitness back, get his match sharpness back, and there'll be plenty of other European games we can see him in. We've still got 3 group stage games after tomorrow night. We've got to play them all once more. Next Thursday, London Stadium, Anderlecht, the perfect game to get Harrison Ashby in. But the other reason I don't want to see him just yet is Ben Johnson needs the minutes as well. So we need to get Ben Johnson in for that one too. But it's good to see him back. Good to see Harrison Ashby back. Apparently he played quite well last night, although West Ham got beat 2-0 by MK Dons. I saw the highlights on the MK Dons YouTube. So it's very MK Dons based. Nice goal. Well, actually, it wasn't even the goal. It was a nice touch that went wide the post. But good to see him back anyway. He's got a chance of getting in the Scotland squad. We've got a friendly coming up just before the World Cup. And obviously, because we're not at the World Cup, it gives a bit of a chance for Steve Clarke to use players that he hasn't yet used. We just had the Nations League gone by and the third game. So we had 3 games to play, whereas most countries only had 2. And when we played our third game, we were down to the bare bones of the squad. We had to give a Hibs centre-back, Ryan Proteus, his first ever cap for Scotland in what was a deciding match in the Nations League. So I think Steve Clarke's going to want to try and avoid that in future. Therefore, he needs to have a look at some of the under-21 players in the full squad next month. And that is Harrison Ashby. Not just Harrison Ashby. There's plenty others as well, like some Elliot Anderson at Newcastle. But I do think Ashby's got an outside chance of making the next Scotland squad. At the minute, our sort of third choice right back, if you like, is Ralston of Celtic, who's not even Celtic's first choice right back. So there is an opportunity for Harrison Ashby to get into the Scotland squad next month, actually. I'm talking about the senior squad here. So it's quite a pivotal season for him. Obviously, he's yet to sign a new contract with West Ham, which is a bit concerning. Hoping he does sign one, obviously, but he's still being linked to Leeds United and Newcastle United as well. Sonny Perkins doing quite well for Leeds since he's moved there. He scored again last night. I think it was last night. They won 4-5-0, and I think he got one of the goals. Scored a hat-trick for England's youth team last weekend too. So Perkins is doing okay. But Ashby could be one of the ones, contract situations ongoing. But it's good to see him back. I think the contract stuff, I always say I find it uncomfortable when it comes to sort of money. And it's not necessarily money in Ashby's case. We'll have to wait and see. But when we talk about youth players and money like Perkins and whatever, I find it an uncomfortable topic. I don't know why. And I feel like the club's not the best at sort of bridging under 21s to the first team in terms of contracts. There's plenty of players we've had issues with. We have big issues with Declan Rice. Ben Johnson is another player that we still are having issues with. He hasn't signed a new contract. He rejected our contract last season. Fortunately, we had that 2-year option, which we triggered. So he's still got this season and next season. But we want to get Ben Johnson tied down to a new contract as well. And that's something I feel the club could probably do better at. And I'm not going to lie, I'll be honest with you. I'm hoping it's something Mark Noble can sort, having come through the academy himself, having probably been in the situation that some of the younger players find themselves in, which is wanting sort of wages of a sort of squad player in the first team, but actually playing in the under-21s. It's a difficult sort of area, isn't it? If you're in the first team, you're in the first team. You're in the under-21s training with the first team. It's a bit of a funny one because you don't know if you're going to step up. So I can sympathise with the club, but hopefully the Ashby situation, we can get that sorted out. Moving on to Maxwel Cornet, he was missing from training today. West Ham had an open training session earlier on today before heading to Belgium. Maxwel Cornet was missing. So I think it's safe to assume he won't be in the squad tomorrow night. What extent of the injury he has got after going off injured against Wolves at the weekend with a calf injury, we're waiting to hear. There's nothing out there. There's no news whatsoever. The club have kept it under wraps. And do you know something? Good. I'm actually, in a weird way, I'm glad we don't know what is wrong with Maxwel Cornet. Well, we do. We know he's injured. We know he's got a calf injury. But in regards to how long he's out for and stuff, keep it under wraps. Keep Fulham guessing. Obviously, David Moyes will get asked about it in his press conference, which I assume is later on tonight. Usually is the evening before the game when it comes to away games of European football. I'd imagine he'll get asked about Cornet and he might address it then. But I like the fact it's not being leaked. If Moyes chooses to put that news out there, fine. That's up to him. I don't mind that. But in regards to getting leaked out from the club, I much prefer it to stay in-house and allow the decision for the Cornet injury to come out via the manager and for it to be the manager's decision as well. So in regards to his injury, we don't know. It's not a bad thing. Now, before I move on, this video is sponsored by the OneFootball app. You can see the logo up there as well. Everything I'm discussing in today's video can be found on the OneFootball app because it's the best place to keep up to date with all the latest news at West Ham United. And if you don't support West Ham, don't worry. Your club is on there as well. And not only keep up with your club, keep up with the competitions, all the big headlines from around the Premier League. We've got Champions League football tonight. We had some really good games in the Champions League last night as well. And best of all, the app is completely free. So what have you got to lose? You've got nothing to lose. But what have you got to gain? You've got a fantastic football app for the football fan to gain. Link is in the description of this video. Please do use that one so they know you've come from Hammers Chat. Get downloaded, set it all up. It asks for your preferences. You give them it. Then whenever you go onto the app again, it remembers, it uses cookies to remember what you like, and it only gives you what you want to see. It's quite a clever app, but it's quite a brilliant app as well if you're into football. If you're not into football, it's probably not for you. I probably wouldn't be watching this channel either, though. Anyway, moving on. Craig Dawson, there's an article about him on The Athletic today that he had a medical booked at Wolves for 3 o'clock. And this is how close Dawson came to leaving the club on transfer deadline day. So the medical was booked at Wolves, but Ben Narek rejected the move to West Ham. He chose to go to Aston Villa instead of West Ham, and that's what stopped Dawson going. And I have to say, I'm kind of glad. I was of the opinion, if he wants to go, let him go. And the Athletic state that David Moyes didn't want to lose him, but accepted the reason for Dawson wishing to return up north, or a little bit more north anyway, to be closer to his family. And after that performance on Saturday, I'm glad we've got him, actually, because he was brilliant. He was really, really good against Wolves. So, yeah, I'd much rather have Dawson and Benrek in my squad anyway. But because Benrek rejected us, now we knew all this. I know I'm not really telling you anything new, but the article only came out today on The Athletic in regards to just how close Dawson was to leaving West Ham. And fair play to him, you know, because it would have been easy for him to spit his dummy out and say, no, I don't fancy this anymore. I want my move. If I don't get my move, I don't want to play, blah, blah, blah. But he's been extremely professional about it. And I've never got an issue with players wanting to leave the club. I never have one. There could be various different reasons they wish to leave. Just do it in the right way. And Craig Dawson is 100% doing it in the exact way you'd want somebody to go, which is make it clear to the manager you wish to go, explain why you want to go, but also state, you know, between now and then I'll give 100%. And if the club can't sign me, the club can't sign me, kind of thing. I think he's just absolutely unbelievable. What a professional player he is anyway. But moving on from Dawson, from one centre-back to another centre-back, that's Neil Faguerd. He's training on grass now, which is stepping up his, I say, return to action. We've not seen him yet, have we? His return to first-team football at West Ham anyway. Hopefully we'll see him before the World Cup. I've got this horrible feeling the first time we're going to see Aguerd since joining West Ham, obviously bar the friendlies, will be playing at the World Cup. I do have a worry that we perhaps won't see him in the Premier League because it's a big ask, isn't it? Look at Ogbonna, how careful we've had to sort of handle his return, and Craig Dawson and Kurt Zuma's still not 100% fit as well. So I've got a feeling that we might see a Aguerd at the World Cup, maybe not before, but also really get into the team. You know, say we were doing well leading up to that game against Leicester, which is our last game before the World Cup. Would he get in? Not really, because we need points and we've got to play our best team. So we might not see him until the World Cup, but it'd be interesting to see him. But there's a couple of youngsters in this squad for tomorrow night. Somebody just popped one up. Purple just said that Ollie Scarles is in the squad for tomorrow. So is Regan Clayton. Clayton was on the bench for West Ham against FCSB, but didn't come on, obviously. 17-year-old left back. Now, he's a very attacking left back. His idol is Alphonso Davies, Bayern Munich Canadian bomber forward from the left back position. If you're absolutely rapid, Davies, that is. To be fair, Clayton's fast as well, but he's in the squad for tomorrow night too. And I don't know why, it feels like I kind of like the fact that we've got a young left back trying to get into the first team, because I was one of few that wasn't convinced on Longelo. A lot of people wanted to see him more and more. But whenever I watched him, I never felt convinced that he was going to step up. But saying that, he's made his first start at the weekend for the club he's on loan at. Forgive me, I forgot who it is now. But he certainly played at the weekend, Longelo did. So well done to him. Now, I'm going to get to the live chat in just a second. The last thing I will say is that Josh Brownhill has refused to rule out a move from Burnley. We were linked to him quite a lot in the summer. Now, I don't believe that he's not been linked to West Ham, by the way. He's been linked to about 10 different Premier League clubs anyway. But Brownhill himself has got asked about speculation regarding him moving away from Burnley. He's basically said, the rumours are what they are. I can't control them. I'll do what I do at Burnley, and whatever the future holds for me, who knows? So he's very much refused to rule out a move away from Turf Moor in the January transfer window. Do I think we'd go in for him? Depends on our circumstances, I think, because he's doing quite well. I've seen Burnley quite a bit in the Championship this season, and he's playing good. I think the fact that Vincent Kompany's there is suiting him. I don't think Dyche ever got the best out of him. Worked hard, you saw that, but I think his ability on the ball was sort of wasted under Sean Dyche, if you like. And I think Vincent Kompany's getting that side out of him. Playing alongside Josh Cullen helps him as well, because he's also really neat and tidy on the ball. And I think it depends on if Coventry and Downs make it at West Ham in the first half of the season. If they do, we don't have an issue. We won't need a centre-back. But if they don't, if Downs isn't getting into the team, if Coventry's struggling, then we could probably do with another centre midfielder perhaps in the January transfer window. So Brownhill's somebody that we can maybe keep an eye on. Right, let's see what you're all saying. Joan is glad Craig Dawson stayed. He's top-notch for us and such a great guy. If you're watching live, please get involved in the live chat. Any topics you want to discuss, whack them in. Any questions, whack them in. Anything you would like to say about anything related to West Ham, statement-wise, as in you don't want my opinion on it, whack that in as well. Let's see what you're all saying. And just like Joan has, she's glad Dawson is staying. Frember says that Anderlecht's not really doing well. He thinks we can nick a win. I do as well. Like I said, I don't think a draw is the worst result. Would I go there and play for a draw? No. Would I be disappointed if we only drew? Yes. However, I think a point would be fine. I think if we can get 4 points in the 2 games against Anderlecht, we should win the group. Nick says we must all have the One Football app by now. Well, hopefully you do. You just never know. There might be a few people that don't have it. To be fair to One Football, they're massive supporters of the channel. They've been with this channel for about 18 months now or something like that. It'd be brilliant. Nick thinks it's going to be tough. He'd be happy with a point. Peter says there's 5-6 senior players all waiting to have their contracts renewed and improved. RJ says it's ridiculous. So many players play for the national team and do not play club matches. That's probably in reference to myself speaking about Ralston playing for Scotland, but not Celtic. It's a bit different, isn't it? We're a bit desperate. Mark said it'd be strange if he gets into the Scotland team, but not West Ham. It's just it's just the way it is with Scotland. You know, Nathan Patterson was playing right back for us before he was playing right back for Everton. We've got, like I said, Elliot Anderson will probably be next in line for a call up for us at Newcastle, and he's played some minutes for Newcastle. But we'll see. I covered it in the preview, Purple. What 11 would you like to see is the question. My lineups in the preview, I'm almost thinking I got it right, but it was Areola, Johnson, Kerr, Ogbonna, Emerson, Downs, Rice, Benrahma, Fornals, Bowen, Antonio up front. There you go. That's 11. Mark would like to see Downs start. Do you like this new direction for Moyes? I'll be honest with you, Sean. I've not seen one. I'm not trying to take the mick out of you, Sean. I don't think I've seen one yet. If you can reply to my reply in the chat, and I'll get up on the screen. But I think we're still playing the same way as we have under the last 2 seasons under David Moyes. It just worked against Wolves. That's all. When are me and Gonzo going to disagree next? Well, we disagree quite often, actually. If you watch our player ratings every game on Patreon, we often disagree. Maybe not to that extent. I think I was maybe a bit generous to Fabianski, right? I will concede. I stand by my Thilo Kehrer mark, but this is where it all depends on how and where you've seen the game. Because of where I sit in the stadium, my view, the closest player to my seat, if you like, in the second half was Thilo Kehrer, and far too often I saw him just jogging back. Like I said, he didn't have a bad game. I don't not want to see him at right back. I want to see him at right back against Fulham. I just felt like we got off with it a little bit. I wish I thought about it after. And when we played that European game and we conceded a goal because Emerson never tracked back, Gonzo gave Emerson about a 3 in the player ratings, yet Kehrer wasn't tracking back and got an all right mark from him. Gonzo just has his favourites, that's all. So do I, though. We all do. We've all got our favourites. Sam thinks if Aguero comes back, we're going to switch to back 5. That's interesting. It's not a bad call. I think it depends, doesn't it, between us now and then. If we're sitting mid-table and we're playing quite well, I don't know, I think he'd keep a 4. But if we were struggling or playing poorly, perhaps we would switch to back 3. It's an interesting comment, though, because you do wonder if Moyes was hoping to just play with and stick with a back 3, and Aguero was a big part of that. But Adam says he's still not 100% on Emerson. It's good going forward. Not has good pace, but defending-wise, he seems quite shaky. What do you think? I think you're right, Adam. I think he looked good against Wolves in the left wing role, and it certainly helped out Aaron Creswell. And Traore had to sort of concede 10 yards on the pitch to get back and keep an eye on Emerson. Left wing back, I think he's good. I don't think he's had a bad game yet. I think he's had some shaky moments, but the jury's out as far as I'm concerned. But I have to admit, Adam, I wasn't keen on him when we signed him. However, I wouldn't say better than I expected, but he's doing well. I think he's doing well so far, but I'm still not sold on him just yet. Only Irons could Ollie Scars, who we know is heading to the game tomorrow, actually play some of the game. I don't think so. Only Irons, I really don't think so. I'd be surprised if we saw any of the under-21s play. But I've got nothing. I think even if Moyes only takes them, they're on the bench, they're unused subs. I think that's a fantastic experience for the youngsters. Get them around the senior players. I think Declan Rice put up a picture, sat next to one of them on the plane. You know, could you imagine being that 17, 18-year-old? Declan's probably someone you look up to, having come through the academy. And you go on the plane and Declan sat next to you, chatting to you the whole way over and stuff like that. So it must be a wonderful experience for them, and also quite important to their step up to the first team. You know, when I spoke to Jack Collison on here a couple of years ago, and he spoke about when him and Tompkins were involved in the squads, but not involved in the squads, if that makes sense. So they'd be in the hotels, they wouldn't make it on the bench, they wouldn't be included in the matchday squad, but they would travel with the team, and it was hugely important to them in terms of the development, integrating into the first team, learning the players and stuff like that. Just, I guess, the personality side of it. So I don't think we'll see them, but I think it's good that he's taking them, even if he's got no intention of playing them whatsoever. Harry agrees that it's the old direction we're reverting to type. I think so. I think so as well. Right, let's see what you're all saying. John's asking myself if Gonzo going to the home fixtures of European games. I'm unsure about myself. I'm unsure about Gonzo as well. Not for me, John. I think I wouldn't mind get to one, but I've explained a couple of times. This is the last time I explained. Last time. Going to games will be less and less for me this season because A, I'm saving for a deposit for a house. B, I need new hearing aids. My ears aren't working correctly at the minute, so they're expensive, these things. They cost a lot more than you think, which is frustrating. So last season, whenever you look at your expenses over the last 12 months, football is one of the biggest ones. So I'm having to cut my football right back this season, unfortunately. So I won't get to too many. I'm trying to sort of behave and not go to too many games, save up, hopefully buy a house next summer, and then the following season, next season, get back to football as much as possible. Whilst enjoying Hammerlytics over on Patreon, and Ben Johnson's stats are better than Teal Kerr's. Stats don't tell you everything. Amon Mulder says he doesn't understand the love affair with Fornals. He runs around like a headless chicken with no end product, really slows the game down. He doesn't want him in the team. Come on, you Irons. Glenn says Marmite. He's going to say, I hate it, and Gonzo lives it. Do you know something, Glenn? I don't know. I've never tried it. Do you know there's stuff in life, right? Everybody's got to understand one way to say here. There's some things in life I just assume I won't like, so I've never tried them. And Marmite's one of them. I've just assumed I won't like it. The packaging doesn't look really appealing to me. I've never thought, I want to try that. So I've never tried it, so I don't actually know. So it says you love it or you hate it. Well, actually, some of us, we don't know. We're neither. I am one of the neithers. Eddie, what do you think Moyes believes Fornals' strengths are? Well, actually, that's what we'll do. When I do these live videos, I do like a community question so I can see what everybody's opinions are. So today's community question is this. Not necessarily this question. I want everybody to give me their thoughts on Pablo Fornals. But before you do it, can you put like Fornals in capital letters and then follow your opinion after it as well? So I know you're talking about Pablo Fornals. So if you're watching live, get your opinions on Pablo Fornals. It doesn't have to answer this question. It can be what you think he's good at, if you think he's rubbish, if you think he should be in the team, if you don't think he should be in the team, whatever you think about Pablo Fornals, as long as it's your honest answer, get it into the live chat and I'll be taking a look at what you're all saying. Mark would like to see a younger new left back. Yeah, me too. Well, hopefully this Clayton's capable of making a step up, but he's only 17. I think last season was the season he stepped up into the under 23s as it was back then. So he's still got a long, long way to go until he makes the first team. But like I said, he's 17. You could wait 4 years before you see him in the first team. That's okay. Hopefully he just progresses. It's something I would like to see a little bit more of. Players progressing into the senior team from the academy. It's very, very difficult though, and it takes a lot of time and work. Right, Sean says it looked like we had a more functional attacking system. I guess it did work on Wolves. I'm learning being a new fan from America. Well, welcome to the Harris chat, Sean. Sonny says if we work to 3 at the back, we need to sign a specialist left wing back. Hopefully Ashby could fill in the role on the right. I think Emerson's probably a more left wing back than a left back. GP says Kerr's probably our best right back. Plus, if Aguerd comes back, he can play with Zuma rather than Kerr playing centre back. Jordan, just to go over it very, very quickly about Cornet, he's just not been in training, but we haven't heard anything, which I think is a good thing. Ruben's excited to see Skamaka Screamers. We've got an exciting player in our hand. Right, let me try and scroll down. Here we go. This is the Fonny says that an expensive day out now, he wouldn't trade it in, only so much time you'll get spent. Yeah, I've got, like I said, if you can afford it, go. I can't, I still went to the Wolves one. I'll still get to 2 or 3 others this season as well. But I'm just having to cut back as much as possible because my hearing aid, I'm not kidding, right? Every week it gets a little bit worse. And at some point, it's just going to stop working. I know it is. So I'm either, I'm dicing with, not deaf. I'm dicing with literally having one ear going forward. And it's the right one as well, where my headphone goes in my left one, because I know this is going to sound stupid, right? But my headphones, you'll notice this next time you see my video, right? My headphones, let me show you them because you'll recognize it. My headphones look like that, right? I sit like this. When I'm on the guns, I sit like this, don't I? Because I've cut the other one off, because if I put both in, take both hearing aids out and put both headphones in, I can't hear what's going on. Someone could break into my house and I wouldn't know. I'd be sat here just talking to Gonzo whilst I'm getting robbed downstairs. But also, if I can't hear, I shout. I will shout. I'm a loud talker. I will shout because I can't hear the volume of my own voice. If that makes sense. So anyway, yeah, that's why I've only got one headphone on it. I cut the other one off because I can't wear two at the same time. Anyway, right, Fornals time. Let's see what you're all saying. Christopher says Fornals is work rate. Aaron says all he's got is work rate. Hopefully other people say something else other than work rate. Harry doesn't have anything. James says tapping the badge, saluting the crowd. And also this, he works hard and sometimes plays a great pass. All right, good, but not great like some fans go on about. I liked Iron says Fornals is a workhorse, loads of energy and underrated. Hammer Roger says sell him. Ballon Dorson said, what is his position? He's clearly played out of position as a second left back, so it's hard to knock him. I agree with that, and I agree with James so far. I agree with both. Foxes says good enough for the Spanish squad. He hasn't been in the last couple, though, has he? He has been in it, you're right. John says that Fornals should play in the centre, but will never get the chance. Iron says Fornals is our most talented passer, particularly when under pressure from opponents. He is massively underrated. Now, stat, I know this. I've literally seen it this afternoon. Fornals, percentage-wise, is our second best dribbler this season. I bet you didn't believe that, did you? You probably still won't believe it, but I promise you it's true. Saeed Benrahma is our best one. It does take into consideration the amount of dribbles, but he is, in terms of a percentage, he's our second most successful dribbler. Now, a dribble is when a player, it does what it says and then goes past another player in the Premier League, and that is what has to happen for it to be considered a dribble, and that's what Fornals has done. Second, Ralph says runs about a lot, runs his heart out, but plays in the wrong position. Greg says Fornals is a good player, almost seems wasted on the wing because of his pace. Good passing, work rate with a hint of quality. Would probably thrive in the Spanish and Italian league. That's my kind of thoughts as well, actually, Greg. I think most people are saying the same stuff here. Harry says good work rate, time and a place for him. An important player, but not one to use every single game without question. Again, I agree with all of that. What is his best position? Well, we'll come on to that, actually, because let me star that. Gary says would be top class if he had an extra yard of pace. Mike says a utility player, good but not brilliant. Ben says that's literally, I'm not kidding. That comment is followed up by that one. You can't make stuff up. I love when things like that happen. Happy Hamret says passion works his arse off Spanish Cockney. Ruben says his problem for Fornals isn't the player we thought we were getting. Was an exciting playmaker in La Liga, scored plenty of screamers. That's also very fair. Now, as you know, I don't go on the old YouTube and look him up, but I saw it on Twitter prior to us signing him, and he was doing step overs and nutmegs and everything. You know, there's this clip of him doing a bit of skill at Villarreal, and it was mental. It was like really, really good. We've not seen that ever. And I remember watching under Euros under 21s or whatever that summer he played. We signed him and he was playing for Spain that summer. And I remember watching the games and doing like review videos with Charlie after. And he was there with Cabello, Soler, Rui. They were fantastic. They were all just passing about, and I got really excited for him. So I have to agree with Ruben, actually. It was not quite misleading, but it's not the player that we've seen prior to West Ham. Roger thinks he's played out of position too much, but loves the club. Rich says incredible work rate. Jack of all trades, above average squad player. Purple, he's really bought into the West Ham ethos. He might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I think he's consistent and will pop up with goals and assists here and there and works for the club. JP thinks Fornals is sexy. Nick says Fornals is good for the last 20 minutes of a game because he runs around like a chicken with his head cut off. Mark says he's overrated. Better players at the club, but Moyes likes him for his defensive attributes. Femmer says that I think much of what he does for Moisey, the average fan doesn't know about. He's not a classic winner, which is why he quickly splits opinion. Prony says he needs must, unless you talk about my ears. Dicing with death. Nah, I wish I came up with that one. Two of you picked up on it. I wish I did. That is fantastic. Fair play to the Red Robin and Sonny. That 10 out of 10, both of them. 10 out of 10. I like it. James says not as good as he was in Spain. James, you've already commented. Stop doing two. Jordan says he deserves being the team over Paqueta. At least he doesn't run around with the ball in circles. Only Iron says that Fornals loved the guy, spoke about how he could imagine retiring at the club, runs his socks off week in, week out, thinks he's in a bigger drop-off form than Bowen, doesn't mean he won't come good again. RJ says Fornals is an enigma. I thought when he came here he was a very technically gifted and talented player, but seems to have lost a bit of that and become a grafter. Would be great to have balance and say, do you know something? I think that's actually a fair point. I'll be honest with you. I never really thought about this sort of what he was like in Spain and what he's like now. It's sort of like RJ says there. It's almost been coached out of him a little bit under David Moyes that work rate is greater than sort of skill to some extent. And we're probably seeing that with Ben Rama, where Ben Rama almost kicks back a little bit and says, nah, hang on a minute, manager, I will stick with the dribbling and the skills, thank you. And right, well, you're on the bench, son. So I think there's maybe something there, actually. I think it's a very good point by the two or three people that have compared it, Spanish Fornals to Premier League Fornals. Irish Tommy says Fornals would be a good number 8 and should have replaced Souček there when his form was crap. He's not a natural winger and will never be consistently great there. Anyway, right, let me skip a little bit. Otherwise, I'm going to be here all night just reading about him. But one question I want to ask, another community one, very, very quickly. What is Fornals' best position? This is what I was saying in the preview last night with Gonzo. We've got to play him in the number 10 tomorrow night, in my opinion, because I don't want him on the left wing anymore. There's 2 or 3 players ahead in the pecking order on that left wing. I'd rather see, I'll be honest, against Fulham, I would rather see Cornet there. I'd rather see Ben Rama there. And I'd probably rather see Emerson there than Pablo Fornals. Honestly, I'd rather see Emerson at left wing because I think he's more of an aggressive attacker, faster, more direct, can get down that side, get the crosses in for Scamacca. So what are we going to do with Pablo Fornals? The number 10 or the number 8? I think it's one of those two, really. I've always quite liked to see Fornals in the number 8 role, but we've never really seen him there. And just quickly, Red Robin, after his fantastic comment, says, an all-round box-to-box midfielder at a club that doesn't play 2 midfielders. I think it would go 4-3-3. I think Fornals' position becomes available, really, in that 3 in midfield. Right, let's see what we're all saying. Ruben says, Fornals on the 8 or the bench. The worst thing is he's being serious, but it's, I don't know, funny. Ralph in the 10, Nicky 10, Ivan says bench. Matthew, I think it's Matthew, sorry, he says first sub. Hammer's boy in the midfield 3, Spanish eye. I've seen someone say, it's James that said Spanish eye, that's why I never clicked on it. Best position sub. I think this is harsh. Come on. What's his best position in the team? I think saying it as a sub's a bit rough. Paqueta to start Fornals in the second half. Number 10 says Christopher, maybe a false 9. Harry says centre midfield in the number 8. Love to see him at centre midfield in a 2 ahead of Rice. So I would as well, actually. It depends on who you're playing against because it depends. Jamie says 8. Jeffrey says Moyes loves height in midfield. How else can Souček survive for so long with Fornals and Downs? I get the feeling Souček will get ahead on Mascherano under Moyes. He's not wrong. Jordan says next to Dick Rice. Not fast enough to play behind Scamacca. Different story if Antonio's up front, though. Interest. That's a good one. GP says Fornals in the attacking midfielder. Now, I'm going to go in a couple of minutes before I do. Just want to say thank you very much for joining me. I also want to point you in the direction of our Patreon if you haven't already joined up at patreon.com/Hammers Chat. If you want more Hammers Chat videos, if you want benefits, including entry into our giveaways, we've got a big giveaway at the end of October. I was going to show you what we've got. We've got a signed Julian Dick shirt, a signed Jeff Hirsch shirt, and a signed 1980 replica FA Cup final shirt signed by all of the players, including Alexa Billy Bonds. I was going to show them, but they're at the other side of the room. I've done it now. But yeah, if you don't mind supporting the channel, you can head over there. The link is in the description below. You get more content, more content, loads of content. Tomorrow morning, myself and Gonzo do the Becky show for Mild Addicts and Addicts. Every match day, we go live first thing in the morning. We usually look at what David Moyes has said in the press conference, any updates in regards to teams and stuff. And also, we go off a massive tangent. Half the show's about West Ham, the other half just about complete utter nonsense. I don't know what it's going to be tomorrow. I don't know. That's the fun of it, or why people don't enjoy it. It depends, if you like. Last thing I'll say is we're getting ready for Christmas here at Hammers Chat. We have got a few products sorted. We've got some new lines coming out. Not that kind of lines. We've got some new items coming out on store ahead of Christmas t-shirt designs and that. I'm looking forward to it. And we've got our very own Christmas jumper, which I don't want to promote just yet, but if you go to our store, check it out. That'd be much welcome. Now I'm going to disappear because the football starts in 8 minutes. I'm off to watch it, and I'll catch you tomorrow night at 4:40. We're live at 20 to 5 with the build-up show. Catch you then.